Dr. V, there he is, smiling as always, all made up, ready for action. My chair keeps squealing and mealing. How you doing, Dr. V?
I'm doing fine.
You doing fine? Look at that smile. That's the smile of a happy guy. I say right on. We're here. We're good to see everybody. And we're going to talk, as you can see, about the First Amendment and whether or not the president's afraid to deal with the First Amendment. But before we get to that, I want to remind everyone, I'm sorry, I took a phone call. I was trying to get rid of it. I apologize. I blew it.
We are Penn State.
No, we are Penn State. No, we are an opinion group. We talk our opinions. We tell you exactly what we believe. We back it up with facts. We encourage you in the mosh pit to tell us if you think we're wrong. Explain to us where you may think we're wrong. We try to entertain you at the same time. We throw different stuff here and there, but that's where we're from. And we always preach nonviolence and how much we love our country. That's what we do. I don't have to underline it because I'm worried about anybody looking at it. That's what we do. We've been doing it for years. Feel free to look at our older stuff. We love America. Just an American citizen has a flag in the background and has had it before anybody had flags. So that's where we are. Let's start getting into this. Is Donald Trump afraid of the First Amendment? Is the president afraid to let people speak? Is the president afraid of other opinions? Let's talk about this. Under the Constitution of the United States, we have, let me give you a little history, in fact. I'm sorry, I'm looking up on my thing here before we go. We have a little history here. In America, we originally had an agreement that was like BS that brought the country together, but it didn't. It was all states' rights. It was everything. The United States tried to change to give the federal government some power because under the Articles of Confederation, which was the original document, under the Articles of Confederation, the states had total say over everything. When they came in with the Constitution and they had the constitutional conventions and everyone agreed, George Washington and others saw that it could not pass because everyone was worried about what happens to me if the government gets too big. Everyone was worried, remember back then, about the king, and we had just had a revolution from the king. And what rights did people have? And in no document ever in the history of the world were rights for individuals written out the way they are here. So George Washington and the others said we have to have a Bill of Rights. George Washington took that Bill of Rights. I mean, he is the father of our country. With all his with the only major down, it was a massive downside in his personality. He was the father of our country, led our country. Without him, we don't have America. And George Washington, what a great president, what a great man. And but just flawed. But George Washington just said, we have to have this Bill of Rights and started pushing it everywhere. When the Bill of Rights got approved by the Constitutional Convention, suddenly everyone was ready to go with the Constitution. All the states were ready to sign on, and they did. And what was the First Amendment? The First Amendment that the Constitution, that the Equal Rights Amendments talk about, remembering that we had just fought a revolution to get away from the king. The First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. In other words, you have the right to say what you want to say. You have the right to print what you want to print. You have the right to believe religiously what you want to believe. And you have the right to protest or redress grievances. Now, what is going on in our country? Do you think, oh, I'm sorry, I also meant to put this up there, my mistake. Joe, I need you to remind me. There is the First Amendment, okay? We have it ready for you. A little stuff to read so you know it isn't jive. Make no law respecting Congress and establishment of religion. You can see it up there. I just read it to you. But what is going on? Out of just before Minnesota and now with Minnesota, you all know what's going on with the killing by an ICE person of an American there, putting a bullet through her head and a couple through her arms. They're having no investigation. They're having a cover-up. But when the state of Minnesota asks, can you have an investigation of what actually happened, they refused. The federal government refused to allow it and said that the agent is innocent. He can't be wrong. He's innocent. And I'm asking those MAGA friends of ours who may be on here and are agreeing, I'm not looking at the mosh pit, please listen. This has nothing to do with being a lib. This has nothing to do with being a conservative. This has nothing to do with being a right-wing, left-wing, independent, or anything of that ilk. This is not political. We have rights in this country. And when government comes down and starts infringing on your rights, it doesn't matter where you stand politically. So what has been happening here? Before Minnesota, Trump demanded, I believe, he's always demanding, I believe he demanded here that there be an investigation of certain senators and congressmen who put out a tape or a video saying to the Army or the Navy or the military, you don't follow illegal orders. He wanted an investigation. Suddenly, because people don't like, in the Trump administration, those who say that they disagree, those that use the First Amendment to say no law abridging the freedom of speech. Okay? In the First Amendment, the Justice Department, the word justice is really the wrong word to use. The Justice Department decided to do an investigation into Congressman Crow, Congressman Goodlander, Houlihan, DeLuzio, Senator Slotkin, and of course you know about Senator Kelly, where Hegseth, who I think in the long run is going to be the guy who's going to have issues when the Democrats take over the House. Hopefully they do. Did the investigation is now trying to take Kelly's from being a captain, a guy who fought for America, a guy who was an astronaut, a guy whose wife was a congressman, and she was shot by some lunatic, and she worked her way through it. A real American, a hero of America. He wants to cut down drop him from being captain and remove his pension. Think about that. Hegseth, what kind of record does he have to do that? And at the same time, the Justice Department is investigating these other people. Now, you may sit there and go, well, nothing's going to happen to them. Yeah, they have to hire lawyers. They got to go through focusing on a defense, even though there's no necessity for a real defense because they did nothing wrong. How much harder is it to represent their own people? I'm going back to our MAGA friends again. And please subscribe on Just American Citizen. We've been talking about this for months and months and months and years, really. Bottom line here is that we have an investigation on congressmen and senators that you elected to represent Americans by the Trump administration because it doesn't like what they said. It doesn't like what they said. Once again, it doesn't matter if you're MAGA, if you're Republican, if you're right wing. It doesn't matter if you're left wing, if you're Democrat, you're independent. Green, red, yellow. I have to keep saying this because it doesn't matter. What matters is that the right of the people to have freedom of speech, no law abridging it. We now have our Justice Department and run by Donald Trump doing an investigation into our congressmen and senators who have utilized their right to speak, who have utilized their First Amendment right. Normally, a congressman and senator can say whatever they want to say, and on the House floor or Senate floor, they're free to do it. But why is Trump afraid? Why is the Justice Department afraid? Why are they afraid when people just speak their minds? Why are we afraid to hear people on both sides? We're not here. I see you guys on the mosh pit. We're not afraid to see different sides. Please don't cuss. Please don't call people names. It gets you nowhere. But the bottom line here is we're open to it. But why not? Because the First Amendment, you see it up here, Amendment 1 says that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. Yet at this time, we have our Justice Department abridging the freedom of speech of senators and congressmen. On top of that, we now have the Minnesota situation, where we have an ICE agent killing an American, pumping at least 3 slugs into her. That's what happened. That's a fact. It's been shown. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, okay? Suddenly we hear there's no investigation. Why isn't there an investigation? Oh, because these guys can shoot whomever they want, whenever they want, if they think they have a little bit of a problem or a little bit worried, okay? And they have full immunity, yet a mayor and governor of Minnesota who speak up and talk about nonviolence and talk about standing up and for your rights and taking videos and things are under investigation by the Justice Department again. Look at what's going on. Okay? They're using the words nonviolence. You could take a word here or a word there and say, look what they said before for the last 3 days. They've been saying we want nonviolent protests. And you know, as we said at the beginning here and have said it for years on Just an American Citizen, nonviolent protest is the only way to go. It works. Joe and I grew up during the civil rights movements in Vietnam. Violence doesn't work. Nonviolence works. When people saw the nonviolent protesters being hosed, the black people and the innocent people being hosed and attacked by dogs, and they sat at home and saw it in black and white, it changed things. And that's what's happening here. People are seeing it. So don't use violence, only use nonviolence. And you have the right under Amendment 1 here, as it says, a First Amendment, the right of the people peaceably to assemble. Yet that's not what Trump thinks. That's not what Bondi thinks. That's not what his personal lawyers in the Justice Department think. Realize that after this cop, he's not a cop. You can't call him that. He's not good enough to be a police officer. After he pumped all this lead into this ICE guy, pumped all this lead into this American, and we hear there's absolutely no investigation whatsoever. The attorneys, the prosecuting attorneys in the U.S. Attorney's Office that was there, who were doing the investigation into the billions of dollars of fraud we're hearing about, and we're uncovering it, all quit. 6 of them quit, and others quit. So Trump says he's sending in these troops he's sending in the ICE guys, and they are basically troops, and we'll get to that quickly, to help us and stop the fraud. And meanwhile, the lawyers that uncovered the fraud, the lawyers that have been prosecuting the fraud, the lawyer that has been so successful doing it has quit because of the way the government is dealing with our rights. That's what's going on. And now notice what's happening. If you remember, a little while back, there was a talk about these strike forces that Hegseth is putting together under Trump in all these different areas, so that there's a problem and Trump decides to call the Posse Comitatus Act and send in the troops, okay? He was ready to send them in. Now Trump's saying he isn't going to do it right now, yet we are hearing, the newspapers are showing, thank you, First Amendment, that this group is ready to attack and move into Minnesota or anywhere else where it wants to go, but prepared for Minnesota. Why do we have strike troops, strike forces ready to move into Minnesota? Because the Trump administration is afraid of the First Amendment. There it is. It's too obvious. You can't get away from it. He just sits there and he runs around, and he has this guy, Stephen Miller, yelling and screaming. That's another one. Stephen Miller yelling and screaming. The words they use. Donald Trump sits there and says, I got retribution. It's like God standing up on high on a cloud and sending down lightning bolts. Retribution, retribution. That isn't stirring things up. That isn't trying to make people angry. He's sending in his people, letting them knock and destroy windows for people who say they are Americans. Please hang in. We're going to be coming to the Fourth Amendment on that and how they are imprisoning Americans. But they're going up to people. Look at the tapes now, and they're saying, "Are you an American? Where were you born? Who is your mother? Where do you come from?" That's what's going on. You can't say anything. You can't do anything. It's like what Joe Rogan said. It smells, he didn't use the word smells, but I use it. It smells like the Gestapo. And you have people running around, and you hope we're not there yet. I hope we're not there yet. But you have these people running around. If you're black, if you're an immigrant, if you're somebody, and they say, "Are you an American?" You're not an American. I'm taking you in. Let me show you something. Joe, do you have a picture of somebody we want to talk about here? Dulce Consuelo Diaz Morales.
Let's see.
I want you to hang in, everybody. Please hang in here. We have an American who couldn't prove at that one moment that she was an American and has been locked up. You've been hearing me yell about this. Was locked up for 20 some days. Here we go. And why do you think she was locked up? Look at her face. It ain't white enough, is it? Look at her name. Dulce Consuelo. I hope I'm not mispronouncing it. Diaz Morales, an American citizen. An American citizen who was not even out there doing anything, got picked up. And what does the Constitution say about that, Joe? Don't we have a Fourth Amendment to look at here? Let's stick with this, guys, because we got to see what's going on, why he's so afraid of the Constitution and so afraid of the First Amendment. This is the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment says, now remember, you had the first, the second, third, now this is the fourth. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. No warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. What happened to Miss Morales? Joe, give me back her, please. What happened to Miss Morales? And why is this? This is a Fourth Amendment violation, because when they start coming up to people and say, "Where are you from?" Honduras, Costa Rica, Mexico. Joe, can you give me back Miss Morales?
Oh,
again,
my goodness.
Please?
Okay, let's see what we can do.
And you see all this, Joe's going crazy. I've never seen him work so hard. Thank you, Dr. V. You're doing such a great job. We're trying to give you this stuff so you guys can see it. What happened to Miss Morales, okay? Miss Morales is an American born in Laurel, Maryland, okay? Now, this isn't one of these where you're going to start saying, and I can start seeing it now, "Oh, her mother was here illegally and dropped her off and had her here and did it." This American citizen was born in America. She was educated in America. Then she decided she wanted to go back to Mexico and live there for a while. And she did. And when she came back, things started changing. And because maybe they had problems with her name, or maybe they didn't like what she looked like. And suddenly she had to go to immigration hearings. An American citizen. So she's out in a car. The car gets surrounded. They pull her out and they take her in, an American citizen, in violation of her Fourth Amendment rights. Think about this, guys. It doesn't matter, those of you in the mosh pit who like Trump. It doesn't matter if you hate Trump. You have to love America. Think about this. If they came up to you, and said, "Let me see your ID," and you don't have it, and they cuffed you and took you in, how would you feel? And what right do they have to do that? And they do it because they don't want you to disagree. They don't want you to say something that disagrees with what the emperor has to say, who's standing up on the clouds, throwing down the lightning bolts. This guy is the swamp. The Trump administration is the swamp. So this is what has happened. So Miss Morales, I mean, you should put this story out there. This isn't jive. This is the real. It's everywhere. But nobody's talking much about it. Why? Look at her face. Maybe that's why. She was born in Laurel. She got picked up in this car. They took her in. They cuffed her. They took her down. Says, I'm an American. This is during Christmas. She has kids. She can't see her kids. This is New Year's. She's locked up. New Year's, Christmas. She's transferred 5 times. 5 times. An American citizen. Look at this. I don't know why this isn't all over media. Once again, I'm going to come back to it. People say don't repeat. I can't not repeat. Those of you in the mosh pit, it doesn't matter where you are politically. Listen to this story. This is an American. This can happen to you. She got transferred between Louisiana, Texas, and Jersey 5 times over 3 weeks. An American. Horrible food, nowhere to go, can't talk to her kids, can't do much of anything, very little. An American saying, I'm an American. They gave the government. She finally got to her family. They talked to her father. He said, yes, she's an American. They talked to her lawyer. They got her birth certificate. Her birth certificate that has the hands and the feet on it. They got Miss Morales' birth certificate from here in America, from the hospital. They got from the doctor proof of she took all of her vaccinations. I know RFK Jr. and a lot of you don't believe in vaccinations, but for purpose of this, it's proof that she was here and grew up here and is an American. And the doctor said she was always an American. And she went to school in America. Dulce Consuelo Diaz Morales, why do you think she's locked up? And so it took, I think, 25 days. 25 days to get her out. 4th Amendment violation. She can't even, with that, they couldn't even prove, there wasn't enough proof to the government. They kept saying she's illegal. What are you talking about? You got everything. They put so much stuff in front of them. So the government says, oh, we'll be big guys and we'll let her out. She's got to wear an ankle bracelet. An American citizen. Think about this. This is absolutely outrageous. An American citizen who was locked up because she's being accused of not being an American citizen. The government has no proof whatsoever. The 4th Amendment requires the proof on behalf of the government. You don't have to prove. You can show them you're a citizen. I'm a citizen. If they don't believe it, they got to come in and prove it. And the government comes in and locks her up and doesn't let her out, and still today has her wear a bracelet. This happens to everybody. I'm banging it hard because I've been banging it hard for weeks and months. Our rights are being impeded. We have our First Amendment rights to the answer. So what's the answer to the question to today's live stream? It's because Trump is afraid of the truth. And his people are afraid of allowing others to go out and say, you're wrong, because he doesn't appear to believe in the First Amendment. And then he sends his thugs out to take down people who are Americans and question them because look at the face. They don't like what they look like. Oh, that's a reason to ask. But how many other Americans are locked up down there? How many other Americans have been deported? You know, they said to her when they picked her up and took her in, you ready to get deported? We're sending you out. If she didn't have a lawyer, if she wasn't able to make them to prove anything, she would have been gone. An American citizen. An American citizen. And it isn't just one, it's many, because they're not sitting here going, we're sorry, we're wrong. They're sitting here keeping her with their ankle bracelet because the government only lies. In Minnesota, when the cops, once again, the cops are cool. It's the ICE agents. When the ICE agent blew away and killed that woman, Miss Good, the first response from the government, from the Department of Homeland Security, gnome, said, hey, maybe she is a gnome, said, hey, our guys were locked. It was bad weather and they were stuck on the ice and they were getting surrounded. Nobody remembers those lies, just like this lie here, holding back an American citizen. This is where people should be outside and just protesting when she was in there and they knew about it. Why isn't this on TV? Why aren't the MAGAs mad about this? I'm asking you that in the mosh pit. Why do you think? I know you don't think it's okay. I know there's no way you can think it's okay because you wouldn't want to happen to you. And as I always say, we either stand alone, we either hang alone or we hang together. And we are in a really bad situation right now. Okay. Woo! Volps, where are you?
Where am I?
Are you there? You are. Volps, what do you have to say?
What I have to say is that this is just a bunch of crap here. I don't know. I would like to have this forum be a place where we can have an intelligent discussion.
What's going on? What's going on in the mosh pit?
There's no intelligent discussion in the mosh pit, and I'm not sure how to engage in a dialogue. And people don't agree on the facts. People look at the video and they say she was trying to run over the police officer. That's why that one woman was shot. Person who was American citizen, they said she didn't have a photo on her birth certificate, so we don't believe that. Plus,
nobody has photos on their birth certificates.
I know. So it's you're trying to help people wake up. You're trying to be the Paul Revere here, but people don't want to hear you. It's all performative bullshit, to be honest with you. It's, you see it every day in the news, and social media just puts all this crap on steroids. It's not productive. It brings people apart. It's not citizenship. It's something else. And it's very discouraging. I wish somebody would say something intelligent in the mosh pit so I can point that out. We got to get rid of how to get rid of the people who are just here to try to get attention. I don't need that. You pointed out last time that we've already made a lot of revolutions around the sun, and we don't know how many are left. And I don't feel like spending my time talking to people who don't want to listen. I wish, we have a bunch of people, I guess, in the chat right now. I don't need that. I would rather have 10 people who are interested in having a real discussion than 300 people that are just throwing a bunch of bullshit up against the wall.
Time out, Joe, time out. If I can just distinguish what you're saying, okay? Just because people are in the mosh pit doesn't mean they're the great majority of people that are watching. The great majority of people that are watching don't jump into the mosh pit.
Then I want them.
And so if we're getting our ideas across to many of those, then right on. And if in the mosh pit they want to just throw junk at each other and just sling it, they can, because we got a lot of people. We get great write-ups. We got a lot of people who listen to us and are running with us. And it's because of that, Joe. And it's because we say we love our country. And it's because we say it's a great country. And it's because we say it's because we love this country so much, we don't want it torn down. And if the people in the mosh pit want to tear it down, unlike some people like Spartacus and Guillermo and the people we know, and if I'm missing somebody I know in there, I apologize. Joe knows the names better than I do. But if they want to just throw their jive out there, the others, let them. It's the people who listen that we used to call it. What did Nixon used to call it, Joe?
Silent majority.
No, the silent majority.
Yeah,
the silent majority.
So
that's we have.
So here's the thing: if people are upset about this, and it sounds like you're upset, and maybe other people are upset about it or learning about it, it's not enough to sit back and be silent.
Right.
I would like to see in a mosh pit some intelligent discussion, someone who brings the receipts, who brings facts, who asks questions, who doesn't assume that they know the right answer. For example, if someone was protesting and they were interfering with ICE doing their job and they tried to run over an ICE agent, I could understand why an agent might take self-defense if that was the case. if on the other hand, can we agree if someone is protesting peacefully and gets challenged by someone and is trying to escape, and while they're trying to escape, gets shot in the head, that is wrong. Can we
Three
agree?
times got shot. 3
Can
times.
we agree on those things? Now,
Sure.
you could argue, I looked at the video, and to me, it looked like she was running, trying to run the guy over, or I looked at the video and it looked like she was trying to escape. Let the forensic people come in and make a reasonable determination what we think her intent was.
They didn't, though. They stopped it. They're not having an investigation, Joe.
So can we agree that for something that's ambiguous like that, it makes sense to have a full investigation? And if indeed she was trying to escape, then she wasn't trying to run the guy over, then can we agree that there should be consequences for that ICE agent who willfully killed someone because he thought she was a bitch? That's not a reason to kill someone.
Joe, that's not going to happen, though. Everything you say is reasonable.
Well, time out. So you say it's not going to happen
because the government has shut it down.
So
what
is the so let's not stop there. So what is the consequence for a government that doesn't investigate something that could represent illegal behavior from one of the people that represents the government?
More protests, more yelling, and that's all part of what's going on. It's circular, Joe. That's why as more protests.
I would rather have a discussion. I would rather have a discussion of what can we realistically do to hold people accountable, and is the protest the right strategy, or are there other strategies? I'd rather have 5 reasonable people discuss what can we do to make sure that if there's an ambiguous situation, it gets investigated.
It always was, though. You see, what you're saying is self-evident. That's the whole thing. It's a cover-up. It's what the Trumps have been doing from the beginning. Everything's a cover-up. Epstein's a cover-up. This is a cover-up. The double tap was a cover-up. They will not allow the Minnesota State Police or the investigators to be involved. They gave up. They said it's total immunity. I'm with you, Joe.
So let me ask you: do we just accept that, or do we have a response to that?
The response is what's going on, which is what led to today's live stream. And I'm so happy you brought the circular. Wait a second. The response is protest. The response is utilizing your First Amendment rights to get out there nonviolently to tell people this is what I think and this is where I go. It's to take the videos. It's to tell people. It's to go nonviolently and do it.
Someone
just get on and talk about it. So people get bummed.
Okay, I got it. But someone just asked in the mosh pit, do I think the officers should be arrested?
They don't care.
What I do think, that's a good question.
It isn't.
So that's a very fair question to have a discussion about.
Joe,
what I believe is that it should be investigated. And if the cop did something, if the ICE officer did something wrong, then they should be held accountable, just like any other American citizen.
That's so right, Joe. You're right. But if my bubby had balls, she'd be my Zadie. Okay? It's just the big if. It ain't happening. It's just you are so rational. You're the most rational guy I know. I've known you for so long. I'm trying to break through the rationality, except, guys, when he tries to pull a fast one on me, a certain alarm clock. But we're not talking about that here right now.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Rosemary Woods Volpicelli. That's his name.
I know. That was a while ago.
But my point is, Joe, is that because they're not allowing our people to have First Amendment rights, and by when you exercise your First Amendment rights, they're doing investigations, which is what we talked about. And when you're out just walking, they're violating your Fourth Amendment. You have to get madder, and you have to have more people.
I think I disagree with you. I disagree with you. We don't have to get madder. Matter might get more views, but matter doesn't get results. We need to get smarter.
Nonviolent,
I think protesting is a way to get the message out to people who are sleeping
Right.
But some smart people have to get together and figure out what's a good strategy that's going to be effective.
No.
And and I hate to say it, but the Democrats are not a good example of a group that's getting together and being smart to be effective. Right now, what I see is that the people who believe in the MAGA movement are very effective in getting their message out and getting control of the
Then you haven't seen the opinion polls. They've all been coming in, and Trump's underwater by 20 and 30 points on immigration and all the and the economy, Joe. That it's working. It's what I said. It happened before with the civil rights movement when they had all that stuff. They were taking people and throwing them out of the Reed's drugstore here in Baltimore, or they were just hosing them down and having dogs attack them. I remember my parents seeing it on TV. We only had black and white TV then, and saw it and were sickened by it. People who didn't know were seeing it. And that's what people are seeing now. They're sickened by it. They don't want to see these thugs take whatever, break your windows.
So I want to know what specific things are you going to do? Are people in the mosh pit going to do to change things?
Well, hopefully they'll put out the story about Dulce Consuelo.
So how do we?
Morales.
So
I tried to put out.
So how do we? Okay, so by putting it up on the screen, we help get the word out. So that's a good point. That's one thing we can do.
That's what we're doing. We're doing stuff like this. But that comes from the violation of the Fourth Amendment right. People still have to see exactly what's going on because, Joe, what's happening is it isn't just MAGA versus the left. It's government versus Americans. That's what it is. And that's the point I've been trying to get across. And some people hear it. They start realizing after a while, this is Devo. We've gone so far back. Devolution. People see it, Joe. The more you say it, the more people see it because I have not taken the position that we have not at all, you or I, through any of our videos, taken the position that we're anti-MAGA or anything. We'll take a position on Trump, but we have not. We've always encouraged all the MAGAs to come in, and we've had some who've come in and become good visitors, good contributors. But the problem is, what we're trying to get out there is that this is the Ministry of Information is the government, and they're just putting out BS, and they will screw you on the right as fast as they'll screw you on the left. And that's the point, Joe. And that's what I'm trying to get out. And we can only do it twice a week. Others need to get out there and do it. And they're doing it. People are out there taking pictures, videoing. They just have to stay away from violence because violence gives these guys the excuse they need to send in the strike forces and to beat on Americans and deny us our rights. And that's my point. And people forget about nonviolence. People get mad. They get emotional. Yeah, I get mad. Nothing wrong with getting madder, but you're still nonviolent. You get madder, it makes you want to get more involved because you're still nonviolent, but you got to go after them, Joe. And one more thing I want to ask you. I want to make a quick change here if we can. Are you going to join the volunteers to go and take over Greenland? Are you going to join them, Joe?
No, I'm not interested in taking over Greenland.
Now think about what's happening. Trump, now let's just I'm now going to a different issue here, okay? Greenland. We have a president who has decided that he is a pirate. Pete the pirate, a buccaneer. Oh, mateys, let's go and take our loot. And they go in and they take their ships and they roll into dock and they burn the town down and they take all the loot and they leave. Then they go after, hi, matey. And they go, that's Trump trying to take over. He takes Venezuelan oil. He's trying to take Greenland, who has an agreement with us, who would do anything in the world we ask him to do. But what he's tried to do, and this is where Joe is actually going to give you a Mark's right. I've been talking about the end of the 20th century. It's in Just an American Citizen. Please go in there and subscribe and read it. Years ago, saying that we were going to fall apart, that we had it so good that we were going to fall apart. And Trump, by now saying he is going to tariff, think about this. These people aren't our friends. They're not our allies. We have no friends. Trump has two friends, Putin and Z. That's all he's got. And we sit here as Americans, and we're now going to watch a takeover of another country, and we're going to force our way on others. Have you seen what's going on? Canada has made a big deal with China. Canada was all in dealing with us, almost 100%. We had this whole area, Canada, America, and Mexico. Jobs for everybody, destroyed, gone. We have Europe making deals with China. China's just eclipsing us. They're running right by us, and we're worried about oil, and we're not even worried about solar energy. They're biased on batteries. They're going by us because people say they can't trust America, the ugly American. And Donald Trump has done that. So not only has he attacked Americans by taking the First and Fourth Amendment rights and others, he is killing us by making us stand alone as a bunch of imperialist thugs. I love that word thugs, but we're an imperialist. We're going in, I'm telling you, like the pirates. Matey, matey. Pete the Pirate. We had one on TV when I was a kid. We could watch TV on the weekends. That's what we're doing, Joe. And it's a whole takeover. And the people have to understand why in the mosh pit, once again, would you want us to take over 54,000 people when those people have said, come in, you're welcome. We've had to deal with you for 70 years. You can put up whatever forts you want. You can do whatever you want. We're glad to work with you. Why do we suddenly now have to take them over and just do a final end to our NATO partners? I'll tell you this. I think this week we're going to be seeing, Joe, an opinion from the Supreme Court on whether or not what Trump's doing with the tariffs is constitutional or not. This would be part of that decision. So if the supines back down, which they normally do, then he'll get away with it. If they don't, and they say you can't tariff, they'll find some way to parse through it. But if they put a limit on them, this ends that issue. But think about what's going on. We are an imperialist country, Joe. We have turned from being what Reagan called the shining light on the hill. Yeah, I voted for Reagan the second time. The shining light on the hill to an imperialist invader takeover. Doesn't matter. How sick is this? Joe, anything you want to say about that?
People are saying in the mosh pit that we can't let it become Russian, or we need to, and it's just ridiculous arguments because we already have rights to put bases there. It's not going to go Russian. It's not going to go communist. It's just really pissing off our European allies and really upsetting the Greenland folks. I don't know how to respond to. There's just the people just accept what they hear without questioning it. I had thought people were a little bit more intelligent than that, but if you are if you're part of the silent majority and can think for yourself and have a reasonable statement, please put it in the mosh pit and give me some hope. Because right now, I'm just really discouraged. And I don't feel like wasting my time talking to people who already have a closed mind. I like to have a reasonable discussion about things. And I'm interested to hear your perspective, share my perspective, and maybe come up with a solution for problems. But I don't have any time or interest in just, reading a bunch of bullshit comments about people's religious affiliation, or if someone's dumb, or, TDS, whatever the hell that means. If you want to have a reasonable discussion, let's do that. Otherwise, you're just, jerking off here. It's ridiculous. Let's have a serious discussion on these serious issues. And I still would like to figure out what's the strategy if you believe that the government is trampling on First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, is acting aggressively, and it shouldn't. What's your strategy for dealing with it?
Exposure. It's the only way you can. And Joe, I don't understand something you said. You mean religion's got nothing to do with taking over Greenland? I mean, it's got to be a religious issue, right? Isn't it important about religion in Greenland? Doesn't it kind of go hand in hand? That isn't MAGA. That's just sick people who say stuff.
Joe has a stick up his ass. Okay. Please, somebody give me a reasonable comment so I can, congratulate them and point that out.
Spartacus always does. Guillermo
Spartacus, say
does.
something smart. Dr. V is ignoring everything I have said. Okay. Jonathan, say something smart so I can point it out. Please.
We're in the mosh pit.
Come on, Jonathan. Let's go.
Where is it, Jonathan? Come on.
Come on, Jonathan.
Is there somebody else, Joe, while you're waiting for Jonathan?
I'm looking for something smart that I can point out.
Anybody else putting stuff in while you're waiting for Jonathan? You may never hear from Jonathan.
Oh, okay. Jonathan, you said I'm ignoring your facts.
What
Give me a
facts?
fact.
Joe, let me tell you something. Don't worry about it. You know why? Because when people can't give you facts and they can't give it to you, it's Devo. We are devolving. We are going back. We've been saying it. We are devolving into just cave people. I have no idea. You can say what you want. Bottom line, please put out the story on Dulce Consuelo Dulce Morales. Let people know about this American imprisoned and still now wearing an ankle bracelet. Please tell them about the First Amendment violations. Read the First Amendment. Read the Fourth Amendment. Don't just read the Second Amendment, which everybody on this mosh pit seems to know about. Read the First and Fourth and read about what's going on and read what's going on in Greenland. We already have a base there, and realize that we are America and we are better than this, a whole lot better than this. Joe, we are back Wednesday. We are back Wednesday at 5. We're going to lay it on you then. We appreciate it. We appreciate our friends. We appreciate all those of you who've been watching. And don't worry, Joe gets bummed, but he comes back. He gets discouraged, but he comes back. He's like a tennis ball. It just bangs off.
I need some reinforcement to come back, though. I need some intelligent comment in the mosh pit.
If not the mosh pit, go into Just American Citizen and put comments in after the show is over. So and Joe will see those, and we'll push those babies out too. We need America. We need you all. We love our country.
Peacefully protest, stop the rioting. Okay. If there was rioting, I would agree with that. But I agree with peacefully protest.
Of course.
What happened? I ventured into Twitter X the other day.
I'm in X.
And I saw all these comments about how there's all this violence going on in Minnesota, right? And they showed all these pictures of there was one image of a bar or something that was burning down. It turns out that was from 2020.
Sure. Right.
And then there's all this AI generated bullshit. Come on.
Right.
You're smarter than that.
No, they're not. They do
than that.
I'm on X. Please follow me on Just an American Citizen on X. I call it out there too. Joe, you're too discouraged. We got to get you out of this. I'm going to pull them out. Let me tell you, next Wednesday at 5, we lay it out to you. You got comments, put it in. Please go to Just American Citizen. Let us know what you think. Dr. V is the man. He has a reason to be discouraged. We have to worry about our rights, and we have to worry about each other and start remembering that if we stand alone, if we don't stand together, we stand alone. And when that happens, we lose. Joe, if you're square, we ain't there. And that's the way it is. Come on, Walter.
Period.
And we'll see you all on Wednesday. Thank you very much for coming.